RJ certainly did fill the world with love. He loved life, he loved his family, friends, and he loved his country. Hello everyone. I would like to thank you all for showing up today to help celebrate RJ's life, and I hope you will all accept my apology for this eulogy being pre-recorded. I chickened out. Truth to tell, I'm not sure how I will be holding up on the day of the event, and I would like this to be a joyful and uplifting time for everyone, as RJ would have wished. I'm sure you would all agree. I'm going to start this eulogy by sharing with you a riddle. What is the longest word in the English language? I'm assuming that none of you know the answer is smiles, because there is a mile between the first and the last letter. Smile was one of the most important words in the world of RJ. He was forever thanking people for their smile, whether it was a stranger in the checkout line of the supermarket, a nurse tending to his needs in hospital, or even a server in a restaurant. That was all RJ ever asked for. I hope when you leave here today you will all have a smile on your face. It would make RJ very happy. I first met RJ in 1989. At that time he was working at the Parkway Grill restaurant in Pasadena, California, hoping one day to open a restaurant of his own. He was looking for investors. Intrigued at the idea, I asked him for a prospectus, became an investor, attended all the investor meetings, and through that association we became good friends. A couple of years later he stopped by my home for a drink, and during the conversation mentioned that he was looking for a place to live. His current home environment was not working out. It was not long after his divorce. At that time I was heading to South Africa to celebrate my niece's 21st birthday. I mentioned to RJ that he would be more than welcome to come and stay in the guest bedroom for the 2 weeks I was gone. He could pick up my mail and feed my tropical fish. He agreed. When I returned from South Africa, he had not found a suitable apartment and asked if he could stay a little longer. And the 2-week stay morphed into 34 years. After a couple of years, RJ's dream of a restaurant fell by the wayside for multiple reasons. I was looking for help in my computer business, and RJ started out part-time, which eventually became full-time, and ultimately he became a partner. I could not have asked for a better business partner. He had my back all the time. He was loyal, dedicated, hard-working, and never shied away from the occasional unpleasant tasks required of him. He was their best ambassador, and all our clients talked to him and his positive, caring, warm-hearted nature, and of course his smile. RJ always supported me and provided the necessary encouragement and faith in my ability, which I often lacked. He supported me when I published each of my 6 novels, immediately became a sponsor on my TV show, was the first donor on my Homes for Our Troops Veterans fundraiser, and strongly encouraged Nancy Nelson and myself when we performed the play Love Letters as a fundraiser for Alzheimer's. Indeed, it was at RJ's suggestion that at the beginning of 2003 we moved the business outside of California. I was apprehensive and skeptical, but the move we made to Las Vegas was probably the best move we ever made. We quickly had a wonderful group of friends, many of whom were initiated through RJ's gregarious personality, and friends with whom we made an abundance of extraordinary memories. We also made several memories through our travels, both international on all 5 continents, and domestically to several of the states, especially the national parks. RJ loved nature. He was a perfect travelling companion. I was allowed to select the destination and plan the tours and the trips we would make upon arrival. RJ was happy to go along for the ride, as he was accustomed to doing with the people he met, always seeing the best in everyone. So he was with the journeys we took, always seeing the best in everything. We finally closed down our business on December 31st, 2023, and looked forward to the trips we were going to take in our retirement, the clubs we were going to join, the various restaurants we were going to try out, the concerts and theatres, and other activities we planned on pursuing. Alas, it was not meant to be. As most of you know, RJ was taken to the emergency hospital at 11 o'clock at night on January the 2nd, 2024, and RJ was unable to enjoy good health after. He fought so hard for so long to get his life back, but it was clearly not going to happen. He suffered one condition after another, but always remained positive, as was his nature and temperament, always hoping that his amazing love of life would carry him through, along with the constant loving and steadfast support of all of you here. Toward the end, he felt guilty about having taken 18 months of my life. I needed to constantly remind him that he had actually given me 18 extra months of his life. RJ never lost his sense of humour or sense of irony. The last week of his life was in the Summerlin Hospital. It was unfortunate that as much as a foodie as he was stuck with a pureed diet. On the Wednesday night, the dinner included pureed mashed potato as a side. I sampled it and it was actually quite tasty, so I suggested he try some. He had 4 teaspoonsful and commented wryly, quotes, "Of all the delicious gourmet meals I have had, it's ironic that my last meal on this planet would be mashed potato." And it was his last meal. As an aside, I hope and pray that none of you ever have to visit a loved one in hospital. And if you do, I hope and pray your loved one does not have to endure a pureed diet. If you do, I strongly advise and recommend that you skip the French pureed toast. Pureed French toast is not the most savoury of dishes, I can attest to that. RJ's sense of humour was also on display when he had the brain surgery. During the duration of his stay at the hospital, the staff would come into his room every hour on the hour and ask him a series of questions to make sure that his memory had not been affected. 5 minutes before the actual operation, they asked the same questions. He rattled off all the answers, but when it got to the question of, "Where are you and why are you here?" he responded, "I'm at Charlie's bar and I'm having a gin martini." This, of course, after assuring the attendant staff that they were all angels, thanking them for what they were doing, and, of course, thanking them all for their smiles. Our friendship was the most unlikely of alliances, in fact polar opposites. We were raised on opposite sides of the globe, from different cultures, backgrounds and experience. Me, the reserved and formal Englishman, and RJ, the emotional Italian, always talking with his hands. I often joke that if Neil Simon, the creator of The Odd Couple, could spend a week at our home, he would have enough material to have a TV series that would run for a lifetime. Yet despite the differences in our upbringings, we shared the same values and always worked as a team, as we did until the very end. RJ's philosophy on life was do unto others as you would have others do unto you. It was that pure and simple, and equally as refreshing. I'll miss RJ's sense of humour, the thoughtfulness, the natural kindness and caring, along with his upbeat nature and his giving and loving personality. I hope that when he arrives at the gates of heaven, his beloved mother and father, Virginia and Creel, were there to welcome him home, along with his other relatives, my relatives, and those friends he had so mourned when they passed. Some of them you will know, and I'll mention them all here. Catherine Avenatti, Barbara Beckley, George Burmeister, Don Cook, Louise Crump, Bron and Jane Hafner, Nancy Hambrick, Alan Jensen, Jeff and Audrey Johns, Vicky Kinzel, Fred Leonetti, Gail Liparelli, Judy Shine Logan, Jim Martin, Art and Averill McCullough, Juliana Schlenhart, Michael Southwick, Laura Ufert, Matt Vigil, Colleen Voigt, and Renee Winters. They all touched RJ's life, as he surely touched theirs. I would be remiss if I ended this eulogy without mentioning RJ's love of country. He was patriotic to the core. He revered the Constitution as set forth by our founding fathers, even though, like most people, he felt we had strayed from the original intent. He still believed in the ideals upon which our nation was founded, and on each appropriate holiday the 19 flags would be displayed proudly on our front lawn. He just loved Old Glory, our American flag, and profoundly respected our veterans and all those who fought and died for our nation. This came in part from his parents and his father, who served in World War II. Apart from loving the flag and our country, RJ loved his family and friends dearly, more than you know. He was so humbled by everyone's support that he held a celebration friendship party at the end of March. It was his way of extending his gratitude for the caring, the prayers, masses, emails, cards, and gifts. At the end of his speech, he gave a very heartfelt and sincere message, and from RJ would you expect it to be anything else? I'm going to conclude this eulogy with a repeat of that same message. I believe he is here with us in our hearts and here in spirit, and it is precisely what he would want to say himself. We will definitely feel his presence and be reminded of his touching message and his smile.
I'm sorry I ran a little longer, but I had to do this. I had to do it for you, I tell you. It's a feeling that I'll never have again, I think, in my lifetime. It's truly a field of dreams, and I say, you build it, they'll come. You can. And I thank you with all my heart. I thank you with all my heart. Thank you.